Hey everyone, welcome back. Ryan here. And as always, I'm joined by the amazing Sophie.
Welcome to No Limits.
All right, so you're ready to tackle a new language, huh?
That's great.
Well, luckily for you, we're diving deep today
Okay.
into 17 proven ways for effective language learning. A complete guide.
All right.
It's like having a roadmap to fluency. We're going to unpack it all together.
I'm excited.
Me too.
Yeah.
I think what's really interesting about this guide
Yeah.
is how much it focuses on setting a solid foundation first.
Right.
It's not just about cramming vocab.
Yeah.
It's about creating the right mindset
Yeah.
and habits from the very beginning.
Yeah. I find that really interesting too, how much this guide focuses on that, like you were saying, that solid foundation. It's not just about the vocabulary. It's the whole approach.
We always hear set goals.
Yeah.
But this guide goes deeper.
Mm-hmm.
Like it asks why this language.
yeah.
What's the dream you're chasing?
Yeah.
What's the connection you're seeking?
Mm.
Is it travel adventures, career goals,
Yeah.
or maybe world domination through fluency?
I love that.
Haha.
That's great.
And it's so true,
Yeah.
that why is your fuel,
It is.
especially when you hit those inevitable roadblocks.
Oh, for sure.
And this guide also wisely suggests breaking down your goals
Yes.
into smaller steps.
Yeah.
Because you can get those little wins,
Yeah,
Like imagine mastering just a few key phrases
Right.
for a quick win.
Yeah.
That could be incredibly motivating.
Oh, yeah. Like a little boost.
Right,
Yeah.
totally. Like imagine just being able to order your next coffee
Yes.
in your target language.
That's a good one.
Right. Small victory, but it feels amazing.
It does.
But here's where things get really interesting.
Okay.
The guide stresses starting with core vocabulary and grammar.
Okay.
Like we're talking 100 to 300 most common words,
Wow.
the essential building blocks,
Yeah. And there's a good reason for that.
right?
Like early success builds confidence,
Yes.
makes you want to learn more. It's like that snowball effect.
I like that.
And plus, those basic words are going to pop up everywhere you go.
Yeah.
So it gives you that sense of like, oh, I'm making progress.
Right away.
Yeah.
Right away.
It's so tempting to dive into those complex grammar rules
Oh, I know.
immediately.
Yes.
But honestly, starting with those common words,
Yeah.
it's like having the keys to the city.
Right.
Suddenly you can unlock so much more.
You can.
The guide even mentions tools like flashcards
Oh, yeah.
and spaced repetition apps
Mm-hmm.
like Anki and Quizlet.
Those are good?
I have a love-hate relationship with flashcards.
Oh.
I've spent hours making them.
Oh, yeah.
But hey, they work.
They do. They're classic for a reason.
Yeah.
But, the guide reminds us it's not just about memorization.
Right.
It's about creating a language-rich environment
It's-
surrounding yourself
Yeah.
with the sounds and rhythms
Yeah.
of the language you're trying to learn.
And they don't mean booking a one-way ticket.
Uh-huh. Yeah. To a foreign country.
Yeah.
Although,
That would be nice.
wouldn't that be amazing?
Yeah.
But we're talking about small changes here,
Yeah.
like switching your phone settings,
Right.
following social media accounts in that language,
Mm-hmm.
maybe even labeling things around your house
Oh, that's a good one.
in your target language.
Yeah.
It's like turning everyday life into a language learning playground.
I like that it's fun. It's engaging.
Right.
Yeah.
It's those little things that make a big difference.
They do?
Remember those sticky notes?
Oh, yeah.
Try labeling everyday objects.
Uh-huh.
Your coffee maker, the mirror your pet, if they'll let you.
That's cute.
It's surprisingly effective.
It is.
I love that.
Yeah.
It's like a scavenger hunt in your own home.
That's a fun way to think about it.
But of course,
Yeah.
not everyone learns the same way.
You got it.
Right.
The guide encourages finding your learning style.
Yes.
Are you a visual learner? Love movies, infographics,
Yeah.
auditory, soaking up podcasts and music?
Yep.
Or maybe you thrive on conversations and real-world interactions.
Totally.
The key is to play to your strengths.
It's like those personality quizzes.
Yeah,
But for language learning,
exactly.
figure out your style, and suddenly learning becomes
Yeah.
less of a chore and more of an adventure.
Way more fun.
Yeah, but even with a preferred style,
Mm-hmm.
mixing it up is key.
Absolutely.
All right.
Combining different methods keeps things fresh and it targets different parts of your brain.
That's true.
So, start your day with a language app,
Okay.
listen to music during your commute,
Uh-huh.
and end it with a foreign film.
I like it.
You're hitting all the bases,
So we've laid the foundation.
right?
Motivation is sorted. Goals are set.
Yeah,
We've even dipped our toes into vocabulary and grammar.
we have.
But here's where it gets real.
Okay,
Moving beyond memorization
right?
And actually using the language.
Yes. And the guide is all about taking action.
Okay.
It encourages speaking from day one,
Wow.
even if it's just basic phrases.
So,
Remember, perfection is the enemy of progress.
mhm.
Don't be afraid to make mistakes.
That's so important
It is.
because it's so easy to get stuck in that fear of sounding silly.
Oh, yeah.
But, even talking to yourself in the mirror can be helpful.
Right.
Or you can try narrating your day
Uh-huh.
in your target language,
Yeah.
even if your dog is the only one listening.
Your dog might pick up a new language, too.
Exactly right.
But if you're ready to take your speaking skills to the next level,
Oh, okay.
the guide suggests immersion.
Immersion.
But the guide makes it approachable.
Okay, good.
It is.
So tell me more.
So it's about surrounding yourself with the language as much as possible.
Okay.
Think music, movies, TV shows,
Mm-hmm.
maybe even some adapted books. It's like giving your brain a good soak
Okay.
in the language you're learning.
Speaking of adapted books, I once read one with a hilarious mistranslation.
Oh, no.
The Cheshire Cat's grin
Uh-huh.
was described as a smile like a slice of cheese.
Wow.
Completely changed the image.
It does.
But beyond these passive activities,
Right.
the guide stresses moving from memorization
Yeah.
to actively using new words.
Yes.
So it's not enough to recognize a word on a flashcard.
Right.
You need to use it in sentences,
Yes.
create stories,
Uh-huh.
incorporate it into our daily lives.
Right.
It's like taking those words out for a spin
I like
and
it.
letting them stretch their legs.
Yeah.
The guide even recommends a language journal.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
not just a diary,
Mm-hmm.
but a place to wrestle with the language,
Right.
experiment, make mistakes,
Yeah.
and watch yourself improve.
Yeah. You can track your progress.
Exactly.
See how far you've come.
Jot down new phrases,
Uh-huh.
try writing a story,
Yeah.
have a conversation with yourself on paper,
Oh, I like that.
all in your target language, of course. And to really make it stick,
Yeah.
jot down interesting phrases you hear throughout the day.
Yes.
Could be a quote, an idiom, a funny expression.
Right.
It builds your own personal phrase book
It does.
of authentic language.
I love that idea.
So we've covered so much ground already.
I know, right?
Setting goals, tackling the basics.
Mhm.
We even dipped our toes into speaking in immersion.
We did.
But there's a whole world of advanced strategies and tools
Oh, yeah.
waiting for us,
Exciting.
ready to dive deeper.
Absolutely. We're about to unlock some serious language learning secrets,
Ooh, I like it.
including one that uses our brain's tendency to forget
What?
to our advantage.
Really?
Intrigued.
I am.
Stay tuned.
No Limits Podcast.
Okay, we're back and ready to unlock some next level language learning strategies.
Yes.
You know that brain quirk we mentioned?
Yeah.
The one about forgetting?
Oh, yeah.
Well, get this. We can use it to our advantage.
Really?
Yeah.
That's cool. I like that.
The guide introduces us to something called spaced repetition.
Okay.
It's this technique that uses the power of forgetting
Mm-hmm.
to make our memories stronger.
Interesting.
I know, right?
So how does forgetting make us remember things better?
Yeah, it feels like a paradox.
Right. It sounds counterintuitive, but it's true.
Yeah.
It's all about timing.
No.
So instead of cramming a ton of information at once
Yeah, and then forgetting it.
and forgetting it quickly,
Right.
spaced repetition spaces out our review sessions.
Okay.
So right when our brain is about to forget something,
Yeah.
bam, we revisit it.
Okay.
And that reinforcement strengthens the memory.
So it's like giving our brains a little nudge,
Yes,
a
exactly.
reminder
Yes,
before they let those new words or grammar rules slip away.
exactly.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
It's much more effective than just trying to remember everything at once.
Oh, for sure.
So the guide reminds us about some great tools for this.
Oh, yeah.
Apps like Anki Quizlet and Memrise.
My God.
Yeah, they take all the guesswork out of scheduling those review sessions.
Right.
They track your progress and remind you when it's time to revisit those tricky concepts.
Those apps are lifesavers.
They really are.
Yeah.
But you know what's been on my mind?
What's that?
Thinking directly in the target language.
Oh, yeah.
It seems so daunting.
It does.
Like the ultimate language learning superpower.
Right. Like you've made it.
Yeah. But the guide assures us that it's a skill that develops gradually.
Okay.
So you don't have to become an internal monologue master overnight.
That's a relief.
Right. I was picturing myself like having full-blown conversations in my head
Yeah.
in a language I barely know.
Yeah. No need to rush it.
So where do we even begin?
Well, the guide suggests starting small.
Okay.
Like Describe your surroundings in the target language.
Okay.
Narrate your actions, even those little internal monologues we all have about your day,
Yeah.
but do it in the target language.
So instead of thinking, I'm making coffee, I should be thinking, estoy haciendo café. Or if I was feeling ambitious, je prepare du café.
That's great.
It's like a workout for my brain,
It is.
but in a new language.
I love that.
And the more you practice, the less you'll find yourself translating in your head.
Yeah, it'll become more automatic.
It'll just start to flow.
You'll start to think in the language more naturally,
Yeah,
which is a huge step towards fluency.
absolutely. But even with all these cool techniques,
Yeah,
we can't forget about the human element.
right. We can't learn in isolation.
Nothing beats practicing with native speakers,
Oh, for sure.
but finding those conversation partners can be tricky.
It can be, especially if you don't live where the language is spoken,
Exactly.
but that's where technology comes in.
Okay.
The guide highlights resources like language exchange platforms, social media groups, online communities.
Mm-hmm.
It's like having a global network of language partners.
Right at your fingertips.
At your fingertips.
I love language exchange
Yes.
platforms.
Me too. They're so much fun.
I once had a partner from Italy,
Oh, cool.
and they taught me so much about their culture and slang.
Yeah.
We spent hours talking about everything.
Wow.
Food, movies, daily life.
That's awesome.
It was such a cool way to connect and learn.
It is. Those personal connections make the whole process so
Yeah.
much more enjoyable and enriching.
They do.
But let's not forget about those pesky words
Ugh.
and grammar rules that just won't stick in our brains.
Oh, those vocabulary villains and grammar gremlins.
I know, right?
Sometimes it feels like they're playing hide and seek in my memory.
Well, the guide has a secret weapon for us.
Ooh, what is it?
Memory techniques.
Okay.
We're talking about the power of association and visualization.
Ooh, I love a good mnemonic device.
You too.
It's like turning those abstract concepts into something tangible
Right.
and memorable.
Exactly.
How do we apply these techniques to language learning?
The guide gives some great examples.
sure.
Let's say you're trying to learn the word for tree in your target language. Talking about the power of association and visualization. Instead of just repeating it over and over, create a vivid mental image.
Okay.
Picture a majestic tree branches reaching toward the sky, leaves rustling in the wind.
Oh.
The more details, the better.
I can see it now. A giant oak tree, maybe with a tire swing hanging from one of the branches.
Perfect.
I can almost feel the rough bark.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
you can take it even further with analogies and stories.
Oh.
Learning a grammar rule about verb tenses.
Yeah.
Imagine yourself as a time traveler jumping between the past, present, and future.
I like that.
Each verb tense becomes a different stop on your adventure.
Suddenly, grammar feels a lot less boring.
Right.
It's like learning a language and becoming a storyteller at the same time.
That's the beauty of memory techniques.
Yeah.
They make learning more engaging and help those concepts stick.
They do.
But what about pronunciation?
Oh, yeah.
It's one thing to know the words.
Yeah.
It's another to say them correctly.
Tell me about it.
Yeah, right.
I've had my fair share of pronunciation mishaps.
We all have. It's part of the process.
But the guide introduces a technique to help us.
Oh, good.
It's called shadowing.
Shadowing.
It's like a pronunciation workout
Okay.
for your tongue.
So how does it work?
You choose an audio or video clip in your target language.
Mm-hmm.
Could be a podcast, a movie scene, even a song.
Okay.
Then you listen and repeat immediately after the speaker, trying to match their intonation, rhythm, pronunciation
Wow.
as closely as possible.
So like being an echo,
Yeah,
mimicking the sounds and the rhythm.
exactly.
I like it.
I could see how that would train your ears and tongue
Yeah.
to pick up on those subtle nuances.
Exactly. And the guide suggests focusing on those challenging sounds and intonation patterns.
Okay.
So you can really pinpoint where you need more practice.
It's like having a personal pronunciation coach.
Right in your ears.
Okay, shadowing is definitely going on my list of language learning tools.
It's a good one.
It sounds fun and effective,
It is.
but pronunciation is just one piece of the puzzle.
Right.
We also need to expand our vocabulary and deepen our understanding of grammar.
And for that, the guide offers a classic suggestion.
That
Reading.
reading.
But it's not just about passively reading anything you can get your hands on.
Okay.
It's about being strategic and analytical.
So it's not just reading for pleasure,
Right.
it's reading for learning,
Exactly.
becoming a language detective, analyzing sentence structure,
Yes.
identifying new words, figuring out how grammar works.
In real world context.
Precisely, the guide suggests starting with simplified texts and books
Okay.
that match your current level,
Yeah.
And then as you gain confidence,
Uh-huh.
gradually move on to more complex materials.
Like what?
News articles, novels, even academic papers if you're feeling ambitious.
Wow.
It's like leveling up in a video game.
I like that analogy.
You start with the easier levels to build your skills.
Yeah.
Then you challenge yourself with harder ones as you progress.
Makes sense.
But the guide emphasizes that reading isn't just about memorizing words and grammar rules.
Right.
It's about understanding the culture and the nuances of the language, too.
That's such an important point.
It is.
Language is so deeply intertwined with culture.
Yeah.
And by reading a variety of materials, you gain insight
Okay.
into the history, the traditions, the values, even the humor
Yeah.
of the people who speak that language.
It's like getting a window into another world.
It is.
And the more you understand the culture,
Yeah,
the more you'll understand the language itself.
absolutely.
But let's be real. Language learning can be tough.
It can be.
Sometimes we need a break from all the studying and memorizing.
Absolutely. And the guide reminds us that learning should be fun
Yes,
and engaging.
it should be.
So it suggests incorporating language games
Okay.
and interactive learning into our routine.
Games. I'm all for that.
Yeah.
It's like sneaking in some learning while having fun.
I love that.
Remember spending hours playing language learning apps and online quizzes?
Those are great.
They're great for reinforcing vocabulary and grammar
Yeah.
without feeling like you're studying.
Exactly.
And there are so many great options out there.
There are.
The guide mentions Drops and Lingvist
Okay.
for vocabulary challenges and gamified exercises.
Cool.
Don't forget about classic tabletop games, too.
Right.
You can even find language-themed versions of popular games like Scrabble or Monopoly. Games are such a great way to learn and socialize at the same time. You can play with friends, family, or even join online language learning communities.
I love it. It's a win-win.
It is,
Sure.
but let's be real. If we're talking about the ultimate language learning experience,
Yeah.
nothing beats traveling or studying abroad.
Oh, yeah.
It's the ultimate immersion experience.
It is.
You're surrounded by the language 24/7.
You have to use it.
You hear it on the streets and shops and restaurants.
It's everywhere you go.
You have to use it to communicate,
Yeah.
navigate your way around, order food,
Hmm.
make new friends.
I remember when I first traveled to Spain.
Oh, nice.
It was like stepping into a whole new world.
Yeah.
I was so nervous about speaking Spanish,
Yeah.
but everyone was so patient and encouraging.
That's good.
I made so many mistakes,
Mm-hmm.
but each one was a learning opportunity.
Right.
By the end of the trip, I felt so much more confident.
Those real-life experiences are invaluable.
They are.
You learn so much more than you could from a textbook or an app.
For sure.
You pick up on slang idioms, cultural nuances.
Yes.
You learn how to communicate in different situations,
Mm-hmm.
handle misunderstandings,
Yeah.
connect with people on a deeper level.
It's a crash course in language and culture all rolled into one.
It's an adventure you never forget.
You don't.
But as amazing as travel is,
Yeah.
we can bring those immersive experiences into our everyday lives,
We can.
even without a plane ticket.
That's the key takeaway.
It is.
The guide emphasizes finding ways to incorporate the language into your daily life. Yeah.
Whatever that looks like for you.
So whether it's watching foreign films, listening to music, or even just having imaginary conversations in the shower,
Uh-huh.
it's all about finding those little pockets of immersion
Yes,
in your own world.
exactly. And that brings us to one of the most important pieces of advice
Okay.
the guide offers.
What is it?
It's about embracing the journey
Yeah.
and finding joy in the process.
I love that.
Yeah.
Language learning is a marathon, not a sprint.
It's not a race.
It's about celebrating those small victories
Yes.
and not getting discouraged by the setbacks.
Exactly.
Ready to dive into this final piece of the puzzle.
Absolutely. We're about to explore how to make this language learning adventure
Yeah.
truly fulfilling and sustainable.
We've covered a lot of ground, haven't we?
Yeah.
From setting those solid foundations
Yeah.
all the way to those like ninja level techniques.
Right.
But, you know, this last piece of advice from the guide
Yeah.
really resonated with me. It's all about mindset,
Uh-huh.
you know, enjoying the process, the ups and the downs.
I think that's so important.
It is.
It's so easy to get caught up in that end goal of fluency.
Right.
But the guide reminds us that language learning is a journey,
Yeah.
not a destination.
I like that.
Yeah, it's about those aha moments.
Yeah.
When a grammar rule finally clicks.
Yes.
Or when you have your first real conversation.
Yeah.
And you're like, hey, I actually understood that.
Right. And you feel so good.
You feel amazing.
You feel like you can conquer the world.
You do.
But let's be real. There are going to be times
Oh, yeah.
when we stumble, when we get frustrated.
For sure.
Maybe even want to chuck that textbook across the room.
Yeah.
The guide acknowledges those challenges, though.
Yeah.
It reminds us that making mistakes is part of the process.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay to struggle, to take breaks, to not be perfect.
That's like learning to ride a bike. You're going to fall, scrape your knees, maybe even shed a few tears.
Right.
But eventually you find your balance.
Yeah.
And the joy of riding far outweighs those early wobbles.
That's a perfect analogy.
And just like riding a bike, the more you practice, the more confident and fluent you become.
For sure.
But it's not just about reaching a certain level of proficiency.
Right.
It's about what you do with that language.
Yeah.
How you use it to connect with others, explore new cultures, broaden your horizons.
It's like having a superpower.
It
You
is.
can suddenly communicate with people from all over the world,
Yeah.
understand their perspectives, share your own stories.
Build bridges across cultures.
Exactly. And that's what makes language learning so incredibly rewarding.
It's us.
It's not just about acquiring a new skill.
Right.
It's about opening yourself up
Yeah.
to new possibilities, new experiences, new ways of thinking and being.
So we've explored these 17 proven ways
We have.
for effective language learning from the ground up.
Yeah.
We talked about motivation immersion, connecting with native speakers,
Yes.
and most importantly, embracing the journey. But before we wrap up this deep dive, I have one question for you.
Okay, sure.
What's one action you will take today
Ooh.
to move forward on your language learning journey?
I like that.
It could be downloading an app, listening to a podcast in your target language,
Yeah.
or even just jotting down a few new words in a notebook.
Right.
Every step, no matter how small,
It's progress.
brings you closer to your goals.
Yes.
And remember, the joy is in the journey.
It is.
Embrace the challenges, celebrate the victories, and never stop exploring
I love that.
the incredible world of language learning.
That's great.
Happy learning, everyone. Until next time, keep diving deeper.
And who knows what you might find.
Don't let